Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. Great to have you here with me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Could we be looking at the potential for a winter storm showing up right around the 12th, 11th, 12th, and the 13th, parts of the Appalachians and eventually the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast? We'll explore this possibility as this is now on the table here. We could be looking at a possible winter storm as early as the 12th here. And we'll see if we're still forecast to get that big polar vortex blast, Arctic blast, or if it's going to be a tug of war along with some big stormy conditions across eastern North America. Let's get into it. And if we take a look through the next several days, next couple weeks actually, you can see what's going to be happening towards the 14th and 15th across the East Coast. That actually gets a storm cranking up. And look at that, as we get towards the 17th, 18th, and the 19th, we're going to be looking at that trough coming back. One right after another, we could be looking at a very stormy pattern kicking in across the east. This is towards the end of the month as well. Look at that. So we're going to go into all the details of what could be a very stormy pattern shaping up. And for that storm around the 11th and the 12th into the early 13th, could we actually be looking at measurable snowfall here from the Appalachians, parts of the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast? We'll take a look at all the details on what could be a snowy time event if this pans out for areas that haven't seen much snow so far this winter. All right, so as we get into our model data here with our storm right around the 11th, 12th time frame here. So as we go throughout the rest of the week, you can see what's going to be happening. We got energy from the west here, from California with those big-time storms that cause tremendous flooding and extreme mountain snow. That's going to be heading east. You can see rain showers making it into the Ohio Valley here as we get towards Friday. So TGIF, some rain showers here along the Gulf Coast as well. You can see that low bringing up towards parts of western Ontario. Now that kind of moves on to the northeast here. You can see what's going on 10 p.m. on Friday night, and we got rain showers continuing. We got a surge of moisture that's going to be coming up just like this. So we're looking at rainfall here pretty much for the weekend. Look what's coming here for the Four Corners region, though. This is looking pretty interesting. It's possibly going to end as snow here in the Panhandle of Texas. Now look what starts to come together here along the Gulf Coast as we get towards 10 p.m. on the 11th. So we're getting towards Sunday here. So here's our area of low pressure. The models have been trending a little bit further north and wetter with this system, more moisture to work with. And that's what starts to happen here. Now, if you look to the north, there kind of is lacking a mass of high pressure to the north. You can kind of see it over this region, but that kind of is marginal at this point for a tremendous heavy snow event. Now, on the northern fringe, as it does start to pick up in intensity, this is 10 p.m. on Monday, the 12th. You can see what's going on here. This system really bombing pretty fast here, 988 millibars. And on that northwest side, that northwest edge, yeah, we're going to have to watch out for this because this may shift a little bit north and south, as they do over the next couple days. But one thing to note here is there will be cold air on the north side potentially for this to work with. So look at this, 982 millibars. It's kind of heading out. Could this potentially end up being some heavy wet snow here for coastal areas as well as the northeast? That is a possibility here. And look at it's dragging down some lake effect, lake enhancement as well off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario here. So that's something we got to watch out for. And as we continue to go out here in time, it just gets colder. You can see snow showers all the way down to the southern Appalachians here. This is right around the 14th. So this cold surge actually starts right around or just before Valentine's Day. And as you can see, that high pressure just kicking off across the east. Lots of moisture continuing here, 7 p.m. On the 17th here across Florida. High pressure keeping the system pretty far to the south. So the southern storm track is really going to start picking up here. Storms are going to be heading much further to the south. And that's all questionable whether we can get these to move further north here into the colder air to produce wintry precipitation. So that is going to be the big story. All right, so as we take a look at the European model, look at this. I just want to make note, look at this big old area of low pressure north of the Bahamas. This is a big strung out area of low pressure that's causing, lots of rain here for the Bahamas. Eventually, Bermuda here, southeast coast, getting some wind and waves kicking up. But that's heading on out. You can see our next area of low pressure heading across the northern plains here. There's Canada up there. I'm going to be looking at your forecast just in a moment, Canada, so just hold on. I'm going to look at your winter storm outlook as well. Saw that horrible blizzard across parts of Nova Scotia over this past weekend into Monday. So, yeah, look at this next area of low pressure. This is the 10th. So what's going to happen here? You can start to see it pull together here along the Gulf Coast region, our next storm. European model is going a little bit more of a strung out system a little bit further to the south. Now it's that northern edge that we have to watch for any wintry precipitation. Here in Texas, you'll see a surge of moisture as well. Now let's just continue to go in time. So that first moisture surge moves off the coast here. It continues to barrel across the deep south here into the 12th. So the European is also slower with this system overall than the GFS is, but it does start to intensify. This is the 13th, so we're about a whole day behind here for the most part. And then look at this. Yeah, sliding just off the coastline here with very little fanfare here on the European model. So this is something we have to keep an eye on. A Clipper type system there moving across parts of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley could kick us off here some snow showers. So something to keep an eye on here as we change into our new weather pattern. Starting off with our GFS snowfall amounts here. Yeah, this looks pretty impressive here. If this storm does hold true with the GFS, you can see here right around the 12th into the early 13th here. So this is something we'll keep a very close watch on the next several days. So snowfall amounts here across, yeah, it's not looking that impressive. Eastern Canada, Central Canada, looking pretty impressive here on the European model. Even some snow making it far south here. That is right around the 12th, 13th. That's with our southern stream system. Kind of curious there. Look at out west, though. Just a tremendous amount of snow through the middle part of the month. All right, so let's look at those snowfall accumulations here in closer detail. I showed you at the beginning of the video. Yeah, this is starting off Monday, later Monday into Tuesday morning here. Yeah, this does not look like an impressive amount. This is the Kuchera amount. Let's go over to the 10-to-1 ratio here. And there we go. Yeah, so look at this. Yeah, this could be, if this pans out, we could be looking at, significant accumulations. Don't look at the exact areas and amounts, but look at exactly what the storm could potentially become along the U.S. East Coast. So this could bring significant snowfall accumulation into an area that hasn't really seen it much so far this winter. So yeah, this could bring warning criteria snow. This is something we'll have to keep an eye on because now we're in that 5 to 6 day window. Rainfall, liquid equivalent precipitation here across the lower 48. Thankfully, it's not going to be as much in Southern California, but look at that. We're still getting upwards of 2 to maybe 3.5 inches. That's still not good. Here across the southeast, we're going to kick things up towards the weekend. This is with that storm that could start to change our pattern here across the east. This is the European model. I want to make note, this suppresses it pretty far to the south here and doses the southeast with a tremendous amount of rain, 2.5 as much as 5.5 inches of rainfall. Let's take a look at the GFS. So here we go with the GFS. It is looking much different here for our system early next week, Monday into Tuesday into early Wednesday. There it is. Rainfall or liquid precipitation, of whatever you want to call it here, that could be snowfall here on the northern edge. Yeah, we could get upwards of, say, 1+ inches. And if, we break that down to snowfall on the northern fringe of the system, GFS has been trending further north with this East Coast system for right around the 12th. All right, so as we take a look at our polar vortex watch here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits, we're just going to cruise on through here as we head throughout the rest of the week. You can see where the polar vortex is showing up here across the north central part of, say, Europe here. So that's where it's most prominent, almost near the North Pole. But look at that. It kind of wanders. This is towards February 14th. This is where I'm expecting our first push. You can start to see evidence of it here as it kind of wobbles a bit towards the North Pole here. That's where we're going to start to see that push. You see those blue areas south. Now you start to see all of this red zone. This is the other cell that's actually pushing warm air in that ridging here across the western part of the continent of North America. So you start to see this is towards February 18th. You can see these blue colors. There is that axis of the polar vortex. So we'll continue to watch for cold spells that kind of bleed into the eastern part of North America. It's not going to be one solid blast, but you will start to see some of these cold air outbreaks, and that could catch up to some of these systems and produce some snowstorms. And you see this is February 22nd. As we head throughout the rest of the month, you kind of see the polar vortex is pivoting and kind of influencing at least the extreme eastern part of North America. NAO index, very important this time of year. Yeah, we're neutral right now. We're actually going to trend negative, slightly negative over the next couple weeks. That will help us have a better chance of getting some of this colder temperatures and potential snowstorms. All right, so our HRRR future radar here, you can see, look at it just off the southeast coast here in the northern Bahamas. That's where you're seeing a big old area of low pressure. It's not going to head up the U.S. East Coast, though, but look at this out west here. This is that storm that California's been dealing with. That's going to be heading inland, and the next storm starts to pummel parts of California here. Look at all this heavy rain and mountain snow moving in across the area, and that pinwheels, unfortunately, towards Los Angeles and eventually San Diego, and then eventually into Bakersfield and Las Vegas here as we go over the next 48 hours. The rest of the country, we just back it up here for a second. Yeah, we're waiting on this energy out west, because that's going to start to push east here. And watch our low pressure here off the southeast coast. That is where we're going to see that system move out. This next system is going to push an area of low pressure way up here into parts of the upper Midwest. This is getting towards, say, the 7th here at 10 p.m. So just around Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., we do start to see some shower and thunderstorm development here across the southern plains into parts of north central Texas. But look at this energy across the four corners. That is also going to be a big wild card. It's going to feed into a couple areas of low pressure that pinwheel here from the eastern Rockies into the northern plains. The east, we can't get any sort of weather. It's just going to be sunny pretty much through the end of the weekend. All right, so heading north into Canada, yeah, we're going to start out with a big old high pressure. That big blizzard moving away from Newfoundland here in Nova Scotia that you saw just on Sunday into early Monday. Look at this. Our next system moving here. This is February 9th. So as we head towards Friday, this is our next big system across the east. It's going to be bringing rain showers all the way up towards Hudson Bay here, southern Hudson Bay. That's crazy. So you can kind of see the warmth we're dealing with here in the east, then kind of fills in with scattered snow showers. Our next system here out west, you can see, is kind of pushing along the western coast of Canada, providing you with more moisture, and that kind of fizzles out for the most part. You see, we're going to go through here Valentine's Day, the 14th. Things look really quiet with the exception for Nova Scotia. We're just continuing to get hit by these coastals here that head out over the Atlantic here. And you're going to be no stranger to this. Snowfall continues. You're going to just continue to pile up snow here in Nova Scotia and parts of eastern New Brunswick and eventually Newfoundland. But look at this. High pressure is going to be the dominant feature as we head towards the 19th into the 20th here across Canada. Let me just zoom in so you can see. There is not a whole lot to talk about unless you're talking about the southeast coast of Canada. Look at this as we continue through the end of the month. Here's the 20th into the 21st and the 2nd. We're going to continue to get one storm right after another. So on the east side of this big trough that does kind of kick in across much of northeast and eastern North America, we're going to see one area of low pressure right after another. So you can definitely bet that there's going to be tremendous amount of storminess here across eastern and southeastern Canada. All right, so as we take a look at accumulation of snow here, wow, look at this. Yeah, this is in centimeters. for our Canadian friends. Look at that. So we're going to pile on more snow towards the 15th and the 16th here into parts of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. And look at even getting some snow up here into northern Ontario and Quebec. But for my viewers in Toronto to Montreal, it's not looking very impressive here. Of course, the west coast of Canada getting pummeled with more snowfall here. And as you can see, this is towards Nova Scotia. You can see some of these maroon colors, 30 to 50 centimeters of snow on top of which you've already had as we head towards the center of the month. All right, so let's take a look at the Caribbean here. As I told you at the beginning of the segment, there is that big area of low pressure off the Florida coast, the Bahamas. Yeah, it's causing a lot of problems over here towards Puerto Rico and eventually the northern Lesser Antilles here as we go throughout the rest of the next couple days here. And that you see that moisture strung out here just east of that broad area of low pressure. Rain and wind here across parts of the northern Bahamas. And then that pulling east into the southeast Bahamas, finally ending in the next 2 days or so. But look at this moisture over here. Let me just zoom out just a tad here so you can see. Look at this moisture plume. Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up through the Virgin Islands, northern Lesser Antilles. But look at Central America, looking pretty void of any major activity. Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Finally, by the 9th, Puerto Rico, and then the islands start to dry out. As this area of low pressure really moves up into the North Atlantic, you're going to see this big area of nice high pressure really kick these nice conditions here across the Caribbean come the 9th. And look at this. We're just going to cruise through the rest of time here, the 13th. We do start to see a tail end of a front towards Valentine's Day, the 14th here across Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and eventually here Honduras and parts of southern Belize here. So, yeah, this is come the 14th, and then that kind of sinks to the south here, and we see some showers kicking in across much of the Caribbean here. So precipitation here across the Caribbean, you're not going to be looking at much here into Central America. That matter across the Cayman Islands, you could see some in Jamaica right around the 12th and the 13th here, maybe upwards of 16 millimeters, just half an inch or less. The Bahamas, that's going to be the bigger story over the next 24, 36 hours. You could, especially in the northern Bahamas, get upwards of 30 to 50 millimeters, about an inch to an inch and a half. And then look at this, as we head towards the rest of your forecast period through the 16th of February, we're not looking at too much here. And then as we get into the Eastern Caribbean here, this is where the big problems are as we head towards, say, the next 24 to 48 hours. Heavy rain, maybe upwards of 80 to 125 millimeters across parts of Jamaica, the northern Lesser Antilles here, especially the Virgin Islands. You could be looking at rainfall amounts of 3 to 5 inches. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So as we take a look at our temperatures here, what is going on? Yeah, I know many of you have said that winter just doesn't appear to be going on here in the plains and then across much of the east. Look at this as Wednesday. 50s all the way into the Ohio Valley. Look at all these 60. Every place in Texas is either above 60 or 70. Look at this as we head into Thursday. Yeah, the surge of warmth continues to the north. You start to see evidence that there could be some cold pooling here, but look at this. Towards 60 in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and almost the nation's capital here. And look at that. We just pushed that warm air to the east. We are starting to see some colder air take flight here across parts of the northern plains. Look at the Gulf Coast, those 70s. Pretty much everywhere. 60, 50, mid-upper 50s here in much of the mid-Atlantic. As we get into Saturday, look at this. Yeah, that's not much of a push of cold air. as we head towards the 10th. We're still waiting on our pattern change here, but look at here across the east. We continue to push those temperatures up the coast. And look at this. We start to see a warming trend again here in the plains as we head towards February 11th. Now, as we get closer to our storm here potential, if we can get the storm further to the north up the east coast, we do start to see some cold pooling air here just to the north, which could be some good news for you snow lovers out there. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Look at this. The rest of the week, we're looking sunny all the way through, temperatures warming through the 50s all the way into the weekend. We do have a chance of showers on Saturday. You know, the clouds will be rolling in, but look at those temperatures. It's really feeling spring-like. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.